very much, sir.
We're gonna, our next item is Shelter Island and the wetlands. We have Roger here to speak about it, and Scott Abbott.
Thank you very much. Can I have this seat? Appreciate it. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners.
Excuse me one second. Gentlemen, you don't have to leave. There will be a time if you wanted to speak. If you wanted to speak. I guess they don't. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Scott and Roger.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
Margate received a National Fish and Wildlife grant about 2 years ago to do wetlands restoration and wetlands enhancement project. We looked at 3 different sites. One was Amherst Cut in Margate, Shelter Island, and the Dredge Hole 86, which is off Atlantic City. Amherst Cut wouldn't work. Dredge Hole 86 is too far away. So we're using Shelter Island as a possible site to restore the wetlands to the 1977 boundary. And there's a dredge hole that used to be a solid island. It was dredged out back in the 1920s to form Margate and Ventnor in the west area. So our grant application is to use dredge material as a beneficial reuse to restore the wetlands shoreline and to fill the hole in the middle. The reason why we're here tonight is the island is owned by both Margate and Ventnor. So it's my belief that Ventnor should participate or not participate through a shared service of using the island as a beneficial site to use the material. Ventnor has very minimal dredging needs at this point in time. The only dredging needs are done by the Army Corps and DOT because of the intercoastal waterway. But at some point in time, Ventnor will have dredging needs. And by using Shelter Island as a shared service, as a joint site, you will have a place to use, hopefully have disposal of the material. So that is why we're here tonight.
Okay.
Scott can give you
There's a little bit more to it.
Of course.
Scott Abbott, City of Margate, Mayor and Commissioners authorized me to talk to you about this and what we would like to do. I don't know if you can see this. It's a picture of what's remains of Shelter Island. Since I was a kid, it has been steadily eroding away. But believe it or not, at one time it was a solid island, and they used it for dredge material. I have the aerial photography of that, and I'll be happy to share it with you or email to you or whatever. And what we want to do is dredging in New Jersey is so impossible. This is Shelter Island before that big cove was there. Remember there was a boat anchored out there for years? I don't know if you guys are boaters, but I remember. But in here it's a big cove. Believe it or not, it's 28 foot deep. It's 27 acres. It has a capacity, if we were to restore it to full marshes, of 1 million cubic yards. Give you an idea, Margate needs about less than 200,000 cubic yards of dredge. Ventnor is maybe about 15,000 cubic yards, we calculated. I've been working with the Army Corps, DEP. Big help is Stockton, the Coastal Research Center. And the most expensive, difficult problem with dredging is what do you do with the material? Avalon was smart. They bought an island and they've been putting their dredge material there. Ocean City is spending something like $20 million and they do have a disposal site. What we want to do is what they did in Barnegat, and they've been doing this a lot in Louisiana and Maryland, where you have these, believe it or not, there's massive amounts of dredging in the early part of the 1900s. That's how Ventnor Heights was made, that's how all the Back Bay, even St. Leonard's, all dredge material. The inland waterway that goes under the Dorset Bridge, that was man-made. It's a tiny little stream at one time. Mm-hmm. And the material we would like to do is put it back in this hole. The hole is anoxic. In other words, if you go down 20 feet, there's no oxygen, there's no vegetation, there's no fish. We would be restoring, the official word is restoring marine habitat. Now, Ventnor and Margate duly own this island. I have the title work, I have the search, I have the survey work done. It's kind of interesting. They ran a sewer plant there and sold half to Margate in 1933. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember when there was a sewer plant.
No, we're not. I'm not old enough.
but it's not there anymore. So what we would do is put the dredge material in there and restore it. The Army Corps is supporting us. They're very supportive of it, but the DEP's a tough bureaucracy you got through. We have an application, we're just about ready to submit it. One of the things that would be helpful is if Ventnor joined us with the application. We don't want any money from you, not a dime. We got the grant and the city's paying the rest of the cost. Stockton is, Coastal Research Center is working with us, as is our engineers. And we would like you to consider joining, and then you would have the benefit of the literally hundreds of thousands of dollars that are being spent and devising a method where we could fill this hole and restore wetland or marine habitat. I'm trying to keep it short. I know you got a budget.
Yeah, I've been involved in some of the discussions early on with this. Jim Mattel was also involved in our grant.
Jim's been a big
He wrote the grant for Margate. So I'm very familiar with what they're talking about. There's a piece at the end of the canal, mile stretch, that the Army Corps would like to dredge, that's behind Ventnor.
That's right.
And then also the canal itself.
There's some portion of the canal pretty bad.
Yeah, very good. So there's certainly some benefit to us in that regard. We don't have the lagoons and things that Margate has behind them that have silted in. That's a lot of what they're dredging now. So I'm very supportive of it. I think it can help us. The plus is that it's helping create community habitat. The real benefit of this thing is to get asphalt, not scratch. So that's something, what we would be critical importance to us is the fact that the Army Corps would do that dredging, not the city.
Well, no, if you do the mile stretch, that's inland waterway, that's Army Corps' responsibility. But if we follow the example of like Avalon, that's what we're trying to follow. The owners along the mile stretch who dredge their docks pay the dredger additional money. The biggest expense is where to put the material. The guy who did Blue Water Marina down in Margate, he spent $100 a cubic yard to do 4,000 cubic yards, which isn't much. I mean, it sounds like a lot, that's not much. $100 a cubic yard to move it. You had to truck it down to the landfill to get that. This is much better. There are these dredge holes up and down. In Vagabonds, there's a 68-foot deep hole. That is a capacity of, that is 5 times the size of the hole in Shelter Island.
Army Corps just said it's too far to pump it.
Well, we had a little dispute with the woman in charge of the DOT. That's her hole, as she vehemently told me a number of times. We're not allowed to use that or touch that, so, but they want to put material in there eventually. That's what they're trying.
Okay. What I would ask maybe is that you meet with Tim, what were some of the details?
Yeah.
And go ahead, Tim.
I just have 2 questions. Scott, when the dredging is done, is the hole big enough to swallow the spoil, so to speak?
Yes, very much so.
So it won't create new marshes, it'll be...
Well, we would like to create new marshes. That was what a part of our grant mandate was.
A good problem that we have is we don't have enough material to create marshes at this time.
Right, so it's just basically partially filling the hole, or...
There's 2 recommendations in Dr. Farrell's report. One is to fill it up to -6 sea level. That's about 477,000 yards.
Okay.
And if you fill it up to the top, when you create wetlands +1, it's about 1 million yards.
And would there be room left over if Ventnor ever did do projects that they
Tons
put
of
spoils there?
Absolutely, yeah. Massive amounts. Well, one of the things that makes this so interesting, which I'm really enjoying just getting into the way we've gotten into it, is we do want to restore the wetlands. That's a big problem throughout. That's a big problem in South Jersey. We're losing our wetlands. We have the maps and not have the surveys just in the last 40 years, how much wetlands we've lost behind Ventnor, Shelter Island, all the islands back in there. So, and it's something the state of New Jersey is a little slow getting into, but now they're starting to get into it. This was a part of our coalition team when we went up. We had scientists write white papers, and we came in. We have had assistance from other cities like Ocean City and Avalon. Everybody's kind of pushing it. How do we solve the problem? Losing our wetlands, how do we solve the problem of dredging everything? If you follow the news on this, you see Stone Harbor, Avalon, Sea Isle City, they all have the same problem.
Well, if something's not done with this island soon, it's gonna disappear completely.
Yeah, it's in bad shape.
All right, we do have to get on.
I know, sorry.
I would ask you to reach out to Tim.
I will do that. Now, in fact, is I'll give you some
What do you think?
old maps, I can show you this photography. It's, when you have an easier night.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you later.
I'm going to turn the meeting back over to anybody in the audience, any veterans that would like to speak. Just come up, Joe, state your name and your address.
Thank you for allowing me to come, and good evening, everyone.
Thank
I think
you.
I have a solution to your problem. I'm pretty good at these
Name,
things.
sir?
Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Joe Griffiths.
Your address?
I live at 317 Aberdeen Way in Rio Grande. I'm the host of the Welcome Home Veterans Radio Show on WIBG, 1020 AM and 101.3 FM. We've been on the air 6 years. We've had everybody on from the president to Oprah Winfrey. I sat on the commission down here representing Southern New Jersey for Phil Murphy's transition team up in Marsh. You probably read in the paper. I hate to use the word we were the ones that had Phil Murphy down in Wildwood 2 days before the inauguration. And we had hundreds and hundreds of people there for a 2-hour, telling him about our problems in New Jersey and thanking him and Tammy and their 4 kids for coming. Vietnam veterans have been discriminated for over 50 years. The first veteran came home officially in 1965 dead to South Jersey. We still don't have health care down here. Everybody, you're rolling your eyes, Mayor.
No, I'm not rolling
We
them.
should be fighting for
I'm
ice.
closing my eyes because
I
you're
know.
right.
I know, and I respect you for that. I had to go to Philadelphia yesterday. I got a broken hip. I had to go to Philadelphia yesterday, still fighting to get the Choice Care program to allow me to go to Atlanticare. I'm the guy a month ago got a bill signed between the VA and Atlanticare, Dr. Marcavelli, that veterans were able to go. Once you get the computer systems up and running, then we'll be able to do that. I got denied by 2 doctors from the Rothman Institute doing my knee, my hip, because the VA didn't pay them in time 3 years ago, so they dropped the signal on veterans. Veterans continually, excuse the language, get screwed all around. How did I get involved in this ice cream issue? I was supposed to be in New Brunswick this afternoon talking about veterans courts that New Jersey's one of 8 states that doesn't have. You talk about needing money in your town. Philadelphia has veterans courts. Judge Dugan took my place and he spoke up there. They get reimbursed from the VA. Veterans courts don't get reimbursed. If you have a veteran with substance abuse, anger management, alcoholism, homeless. The minute the veteran goes to veterans court in New York, Maryland, Delaware, every book but New Jersey, the VA takes over. They become the warden of the veteran, the ward of the state. There's a lot of ways to make money. Do you know how many millions of dollars we lose here in New Jersey by veterans going to Philadelphia? I have to get a hip replacement. If I get done in Philadelphia, it's $55,000. Don't you think Cape Regional or Shore Memorial or Atlanticare could use that money? Hire more people, hire more doctors. And by the way, when you see veterans in these hospitals down here, they become better hospitals for the community. When they don't have outsourced dialysis and a veteran's allowed to come to a hospital for dialysis, that means any one of you can go in the hospital and get dialysis because it's going to warrant it for the veterans. Our community hospitals are really nice community hospitals, so we invite our veterans in. But what got me here, I got a phone call 7 o'clock Saturday morning from a radio station saying there's a dispute, they want to throw the veterans off the beaches of Ventnor. I taped the show Saturday because I did a remote somewhere. Thank God, my phone rang off the hook. I talked to Mayor Nick Russo at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning. I said, Nick, what is happening? He said, Joe, I just heard it. I heard there was a radio station, it wasn't Wibbage, that had a petition signed. They're allowed to do that, Mayor. Now I want to pick on you, Mayor, a little bit.
You can pick on me all you want.
You open, respectfully, you opened the meeting up saying that the councilman should not have been paraded. I didn't see any of the emails. I didn't see any of the Facebook pages. I went online to try and find the position that this radio host did. I couldn't find it. I was going to sign it. I just wanted to see how he worded it. So I could find something about tonight.
I have the wording of the petition.
That's right. Maybe you give me a copy of it later. I don't need the wording because thank God I came early tonight and I spoke to your chief. Because you kind of set it straight a little bit. But I got an issue with your chief in a minute. But my issue with you, Nan, is you turn around and said the petition, the social media, maybe they shouldn't have cursed or the insults or whatever. But a lot of that was probably veterans. Aren't they entitled to the First Amendment that you said that your council members entitled to First Amendment?
I did. Yes, I did. That was my point. They had the right to do what they did.
I always think our Constitution, the signers of our Constitution, which 56% went out and fought in the Revolutionary War, they should have put an asterisk next to the First Amendment rights. They should have said with common sense. Anytime you mix money and mix veterans, now I'm going to come to you, sir. All I read about Ventnor was the veterans pay $100 for a license, and we can sell it to...
65.
Pardon me?
I think that's 65.
55. We can sell it to Jack and Jill for $50,000. And sir, you also. You said as the rights of the taxpayers, we have to look at these things. I thought I would get stopped at the door, but I was going to bring in, and I actually spoke to the chair, the CEO of Jack and Jill today. And I'm going to follow up with a discussion tomorrow on how it goes tonight. But I was going to bring an empty Jack and Jill carton. And I was going to bring a bottle of Hawaiian Punch, red Hawaiian Punch. Because we could do a comparison of what Ventnor can make if we got rid of the veterans and we brought in Jack and Jill or Joe Blow's ice cream or Turkey Hill or Mary Ann's ice cream. I saw a great one today. Somebody told me a great one today. Custard's Last Stand. Why don't we put them on the beach? Selling ice cream.
We already have one.
Do you have one down here? I thought it was a great name. Probably the worst guy ever graduated at West Point, but the point is, we can compare the veterans and Jack and Jill ice cream. The plain bottle of Hawaiian Punch was to signify the blood. We lost 58,318 veterans. We're on the wall in Wildwood, a few miles away down the road. What price tag do we put on them? If we put a price tag on selling ice cream, how the hell do we put a price tag? Know why it's bad to bring up veterans issues today that are negative? We're still fighting a war for 18 years from Iraq and Afghanistan. I have two guys that lost their legs who will be on our show Saturday. My phone rang 5 times when I was here. 4 different states called me to get an outcome. Fox News, Lucy Nolan's waiting for me to call her. I did not get involved in it. I wouldn't even get my own owner of my station an interview about this because I didn't know what the hell it was all about. So I walked in to talk to the chief. I think I have a solution. Oh, and by the way, I hate to use the word I'm the guy that got the free beach badges for veterans down here.
Yes.
I went to every freeholder, council, budget meeting there was. I got called. And Mayor of Avalon threatened to put me in jail if I talked about it anymore in this town. I should have let him. Does anybody remember a flag in North Wildwood that was stolen 2 years ago? Vietnam veteran flag stolen in front of that? I got that flag back. I got the VA hospital name for a Medal of Honor recipient. I got the suicide hotline.
Joe, I don't want to,
I know. I listen to everybody all night. I'll be 5 more minutes.
No, okay.
You don't get 5 minutes.
Sir, and it's no disrespect for you, but there's other people that want to speak.
Let him. I just wouldn't give you my solution.
Okay, what's the solution?
You're walking around with 2 sticks of dynamite anytime you bring anything negative up about veterans. As the chief said, I had 1,000 bikers ready to come tonight. Guys, we don't know what it's about. There's 3 people blamed for this. And this is what I'll talk about on the radio, if anybody calls me about it. 1, I blame you. 1, I blame you. And 1, I blame the veterans.
You'd be wrong.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
You did a pretty good job, Chief, of chastising the veterans.
I wasn't chastising.
Let me finish. I didn't interrupt you.
Okay.
Here's where you went wrong. You had an organization with hot dog vendors in Seattle, Ocean City has ice cream. They all have organizations. They have a president of the Hot Dog Association in Seattle. They meet twice or 3 times a year. They hear if there's complaints or moans or groans. They take it to the city council. They take it to the mayor. They were being harassed because they were flying too many Marine flags by their hot dog stand. We got it resolved because the mayor got wind of it, Judge Vince Morrison called me and said, Joe, we gotta resolve this. We resolved it.
We did that, Joe. We did that last summer, but it was.
You did, but Mayor, maybe you should have, wait a minute. And I think where the chief was, the chief took all these complaints from the fighting on the beach. And maybe veterans sometimes with their post-traumatic stress and the flashback, maybe they think they're back in denying their case on. But you wanna see real fighting, chief? Go to Vietnam, go to Iraq, Afghanistan.
Joe, I'm gonna have to thank you
Then
for your
I'll finish
comment.
another, man, but why did we have organization? Why didn't we have rules in place? Bring the veterans in and get some kind of structure.
We're going to do that, Joe. That's exactly
Exactly.
what Chief Biaggi stated this morning, so thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else from the, yes, Peter?
3 minutes. You might want to keep it 3 minutes.
But when I got back from Vietnam, I worked in Ventnor. I worked at Eddie McGee.
Peter, to state your full name and your address.
Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm doing great. How's everybody?
We're good.
Peter Kleiner. I'm going to live at 910 North Harvard. I'm not exactly sure where I live
Right,
now.
it looks beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm enjoying the passion of everybody here. I'm disappointed of the acrimonious activity that has occurred in the last week or two, especially at Tim. I am 100% supportive of what he's doing. I think the only people in this city that are being discriminated against are the taxpayers. I'm about to get a big tax bill, I'm pretty sure, coming in August. The police need radios, the fire guys need coats, we need a new wave runner out on the beach. There's 1,000 things that we need that may or may not be in the budget. And you guys are standing up there very proudly talking about saving $120,000.
60.
You just said you found $120,000.
160.
160.
I'm sorry, Peter.
So if we had put the ice cream out for bid, it potentially could have been 60 or 70,000. It would have been a 50% increase on found money. And I would ask you, all three of you, because you're the stewards of the community, but you also have a fiduciary responsibility to everybody that lives here. There'd be more pandemonium if you send 10,000 residents a bill for $6 each to make up the 60 grand that we're gonna walk on for ice cream. So we'd have 1 million people lined up here, or at least 9,000 of the 10 complaining about it. These guys all left. And that guy who just stood up here and spoke, he's not even a taxpayer. So he doesn't even get a voice here in terms of how that works. I think Tim should go find 10 more of these opportunities. And I think that we should sit down in an open meetings and not wait for Facebook to drive the people here who just left. The people who are still standing here, there's probably $1 million in money just laying around in the change drawer. If you look at different opportunities within the city, whether to raise some money, to save some money, and that money can go to safety calls. Because if the fire guy's, his car is 10 years old, and you're looking at getting, that's a new fire truck, for him, the captain to drive around. There's radios, there's 1,000 things that this city needs, and I think the only people who are being unfairly treated here are the other people. The 4 veterans that live here, we're giving them a $15,000 subsidy, each one of them, out of the taxpayers' money for no reason. And I think that if you've already tabled it for this year, I think we ought to look forward to next year and have a real concrete conversation about doing what is right and what everybody else is doing to raise the revenue of this city, to release the tax burden. You guys inherited an awful lot of costs for a lot of years. You're trying to unwind it, and from what I've read and seen, you're doing a very good job of doing that. But we need to continue to do that, and to just walk on 60 Gs is a crime. It's an absolute crime. I mean, give them jobs. Raise the price of beach badges by $1, let them sell the beach badges and make $1 each. There's 1,000 ways to raise money, but to just give them each, those 4 people who live in this community, a $15,000 subsidy is coming out of the people who are sitting here, and it's wrong. So I ask you for next summer, the summer of 19, that we take a good hard look at not only the beach-ish situation, but how to raise money in this city, to beautify it, to clean it up, there's 1,000 things we can do. And ask for volunteers and people that are arrested for minor crimes. Let them clean up Wellington. Let them walk the beaches and clean it up. There's so many things that we can do, and for you to get crucified over this issue when you're just doing your fiduciary responsibility for the community is wrong. So I ask everybody here to take a really hard look today, tomorrow, 6 months from now, to find ways to raise money that doesn't cost the city any money, and to cut costs on things that we're just giving away, and fix it for the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Is there anyone else from the, yes?
Tom McAdam, Ventnor taxpayer. If memory serves me, it's going to be about, going back about a year, there was a discussion about trash cans for the Ventnor residents. Does anybody recall that?
Yes, I do, very well.
Can you bring me up to date as to, was there any action ever taken on that?
It is something that I would like, but we have never really had a formal discussion, have we, in the meeting? Yes, we
We
did.
priced it out, and it was gonna cost for the recycling cans $70,000 per year for the next 7 years.
Ice cream money.
Well, it's 70, about 70,
Seven.
right, 70-something thousand for the trash and recycle. So each resident would get a very large trash can with a lid attached and a very large recycle with the lid attached. It would be 75,000 added to our ACUA contract, am I correct, Maria? For 7 years. So they actually finance it for us, and every residential property would get one of each. I would love to see it happen because I think on trash day, which is what, Monday through Friday in Ventnor in different parts of the city, I think it really makes our city look not presentable. I think, I remember driving through Hamilton on Route 54 and just saying blue, green, it was a pretty sight. I know it sounds crazy being trash cans. I think it's also important, I would love to see it be implemented because when it's windy, and even when it's not windy, when people put their trash out and there's not even a lid on it, or they just throw the bags on the curb. And of course, we live in a seashore town and we have lots of those little seagulls, and they rip the bags, and then trash is literally torn all over the street. I feel when people drive through Ventnor, if they're a potential buyer, that image, I know if I was buying a home, would turn me off. So I would love to see it done, but I would need the support of the commission to be able to go ahead with the additional amount added to the ACUA contract. So it is nowhere right now, but it has been budgeted. It was budgeted last year, and things were tight, so we left it alone. It is budgeted again this year, but I would need the support of one of the other commissioners for it to pass.
And last you said it was 70,000 a year for 70?
$75,000 per year for the next 7 years. We weren't in a position at the time.
That's like $525,000.
I have one too. I have one.
I got 3 of them.
I'm just curious, it's not like
Well, because what we're doing, the dollar amount is the properties. We have almost 7,000 residential properties, so that you have to add, they're about $60, $65 each.
55, 60 each. They're about $55 to $60 a piece.
So that's 2 per residential area, times it by the properties.
One other issue that I'm more foggy about is the ambulance situation in Ventnor. Now, I understand that the ambulances that Ventnor has are not capable of handling cardiac patients. Is that correct?
No, they can handle that. I think they automatic, when they know it's cardiac, they call a paramedic in. Yes, because that is, a paramedic, they have the knowledge and the skill to do above and beyond just an EMT. I'm sorry.
We have
We have defibrillators in the ambulance. They have ALS. The paramedics have the ability to give you medicine. They can call a doctor. They have a direct connection. So it's different.
From what I understand, what Atlantic medical charges for the ambulance,
They do.
shouldn't we be able to train a couple of paramedics for the city of Ventnor?
It's almost a trained doctor or a nurse. It's extensive. We
That's
used to have
it.
one, which was Andy McNamara, who was a paramedic, and he's no longer with us. But it's expensive.
So obviously it's been looked into.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
I think it's like that in every community. In other words, you'll see in any community, the city ambulance going, behind it is Atlantic Care, another ambulance. I think
But
that's-
there is a bill. The whole thing is now, they do a billing process. They found out that the days of charity are gone.
Right.
You do get a bill when it goes to your homeowners or whatever. So it is quite expensive. and that expense we never recoup.
No.
So it's not a vendor issue, so to speak.
Tom, the other thing is, I do know, as for Ventnor residents, if the if our ambulance goes to a residence, if it is chest, they immediately take the resident to mainland. They don't take you to Atlantic City because that is where the cardiac care is the best. So that I do know.
Every police car, every apparatus, piece of apparatus, our city, every city building has a defibrillator, everybody's trained, so pretty well protected, I mean, in that sense. Advanced life support's different, but you know that our police, fire, they have about a 90-second response time. And then ALS, which is usually mid-6 out of Atlantic City, is usually here within 5. We need them en route. It's always worked that way, it's worked well, and it's not worth it to change it. So, but it can be costly, and it's something that we couldn't afford with the medicine and everything you would need to fully staff a paramedic unit.
Thank you. Side issue, that fire on Roxborough,
Yeah.
I think the fire department deserves the world better to see them. I mean,
They did the best.
Have one garbage side and the other.
Yeah.
That's.
Oh, they're
what
crazy
they did with that.
Absolutely.
It was so windy. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Sharon Spitzer. I live here in Ventnor. I just have a couple questions.
Sure.
Are fire extinguishers required in each home?
No, they should have no.
Yeah, when I lived in Voorhees, it was required, and I was just
There's a
questioning
cost,
that.
I mean, but, I mean, I can tell you, I have, most people decide to go get them, they're usually an ABC, all-purpose fire extinguisher. You can get them at any hardware store anywhere, Lowe's, cheap, $20.
Right, but I was just wondering if that information was promulgated, maybe more people would have.
Common
it.
sense
That's
is
what I
always
was thinking
prevail,
about.
but,
Yeah, that's true.
I agree.
I heard about a wonderful program that they have in many city hall properties where because the police station is usually there and camera is there, they set up exchange areas for people who are buying on Craigslist or something like that, where you wouldn't want to meet a stranger in an odd place, but they can meet in City Hall, exchange whatever they're doing, and the cameras are there, and I just thought that
It's
was a
always been an
very
option.
nice program.
Just so you know, it's always been an option. We do that for people with restraining orders, for families that are dropping off kids. It's always been kind of a safe area or a public building for that, so we use it kind of as a safe haven. People can always use City Hall for that reason.
Okay.
So it's just not,
Good to know. I did not know
We can
that.
publish that on social media if it's
I have two
appropriate.
more things.
Go ahead, Sharon.
I understand that they have sandbags at the fire department, that there's going to be a flooding situation where you can.
City
Public
Archive.
Works has bags, all you have to do is give us a call.
Yeah, well, I did go, and it was, before a big event, and there were no more. So I was wondering if, it was last year, but I was just wondering if maybe we could get a children's brigade on the beach this summer and fill more sand.
We have plenty of sand. You can't use that, you can't use beach
You
sand.
can't use beach sand.
You-
No. Oh.
Here goes
That's
that.
not our rule.
That's not
That's not
ours.
our rule.
Just an idea.
It was a good idea, though.
My other idea was, when ice cream is being sold, maybe we can just add a quarter, 25 cents to each individual item sold. That would make a lot of money for this city.
The way ice cream is done now, they pay for their license, $55, and what they do from there is all their money.
It would be considered a tax. We're not, the only entity in the state that is allowed to tax, other than property tax, is the state itself. That's your sales tax.
Not with the licensing fee, you have a little room with the licensing fee.
Yeah.
We do,
Right.
right. But yeah, it's.
Another good idea.
But thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. Is there anyone else from the audience that would like to speak at this point?
Chris Brees, 5309 Ventnor Avenue. Just had a quick question on the scope of the, I guess it's the bulkhead that's being looked at. There was bulkheads installed last year, I thought, along part of that. So with this, what they're looking at, is this going to extend those existing bulkheads, or were those just temporary ones?
Completely different areas of the city. So the bulkheads that were done were mostly on the street ends and areas that the city owns.
Right.
This would be also along the right of way from Jackson Avenue to Winchester Avenue, where we butt up against Atlantic City.
Mhm.
Would come in all the way to Surrey.
Okay.
So the Army Corps wants to do a study in that area.
So that would be also for the residential owners.
It would, right, but it wouldn't, I believe it stops where you run into the homes. So this would just be for a section in the Back Bay area, right along the intercoastal waterway.
Okay. Maybe I'm misunderstanding where exactly it is, because
Okay, there's no homes on the bay side of Winchester Avenue from Jackson up almost to Surrey.
okay, it's on the other side of the
No.
No, sidewalk, there's sidewalk and bulkhead. There's no homes.
There's no homes.
There's no homes on the bay.
Winchester Avenue.
That half mile stretch.
So where kids crab and
Right.
it's just an empty bulkhead. There's homes on the ocean side of that street.
South side.
The south side of that street, but it's void, it's just a sidewalk, almost like an outlook onto the bay where you can see the marshes.
The study area would extend beyond that. They're not saying this is the only place we're going to do bulkhead. They want to study the Back Bay to see what benefits would be of reinstalling new bulkhead there.
Okay.
The problem in the Back Bay with bulkheading is that it's not a straight line. In some cases, it runs under people's homes, it juts out for some people, comes back in for others. So what they would look at as part of that is like, all right, can we pick a line that would benefit everybody? We get a nice new bulkhead, get a higher bulkhead, we can build it without having to raise people's homes. That's the extent of the study, that they're going to look into all of that.
Got it, okay.
If you remember, and Chris, I don't know if you were here back then or not, but back in the late 80s, early 90s is when they started studying the beach for dunes
Mhm.
on Muskegon Island.
Okay.
So they studied for 6, 7, 8, 10 years. It's the government, they don't do anything fast. And then they decide how would be most beneficial to solve the issues that they find.
Okay.
So that's why they took that one to get the dunes. This would be the start of the Back Bay solution, if you will.
So this is just very preliminary.
Very preliminary.
Got it.
Right.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Okay.
Can I ask him a question? Christian, you know what, I'll do it offline. Can you send me an email?
Yeah,
Because I have a question for you I want to ask you.
yeah, absolutely.
You know, tap your expertise a little bit. So,
Yeah, just the one on the website?
yes,
Okay.
please, thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to close public workshop portion?
Motion to close?
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You may go home.
Chief, thank you.
Thank you, Chief, thank you very much.
See y'all tomorrow morning, you break early?
Yes, yes.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate your support.
Everybody, Ernie?
Good job.
That's a B-I-H, you got it, right?
Thank you.
No, thank you for everything you guys do.
Thank you,
Good
Doug.
job, easy. How you doing?
Okay, we're going to go right into our regular meeting.
We got this discussion.
No, that's,
We got revocable license, those two, Roger's provided, I'll go through them real quick if you don't mind. Just back now. There's two revocable licenses, Charles said,
Yes.
Yeah. Roger looked into those and would recommend that we grant those revocable licenses
Yes.
for both of those
Yes.
property owners. One is for a handicap accessible ramp for Vassar Square apartment, condos, apartments. The other is for a residential home being lifted. I'll do the ones that I'm on, and then you can jump on the safety incentive program, Tim. The liquor license, we've been approached by 2 different entities now that are saying they're definitely interested. Again, so I'd like to get it back on. Lisa gave me a schedule. Put it out and give me that schedule to look at. Discussion tonight, minimum bid, I don't recommend changing that at all.
And I agree.
Resolution for March 22nd meeting,
I agree.
advertised on March 26th. And then again on April 2nd, compressor AC, hold the bids, open bids 30 days from April 2nd, which would put us at May 2nd, which would mean the affidavits would need no later than 7 days prior. So there's a quirk in how you have to do liquor license bids.
Right.
So they would be due formal bid on the 2nd, the affidavit 7 days prior.
Right.
Lisa, you can use the documents that we've used and just
Change
change
the
the
dates.
dates.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay,
hopefully this time we get some bidders.
Just send it to me so we can.
Absolutely.
okay. So you handled number 1, 2, and 4. And
Four.
4 was handled in 5.
Yeah, so this is the safety incentive program.
And I don't think we need to discuss number 6, sale of ice cream, that we handled that. So the only one we have, Commissioner Kriebel, is the safety incentive program awards.
So,
That's here.
I don't know how much discussion is necessary.
More of an announcement.
More of an announcement.
Announcement, there you
Yeah,
go.
we've received $2,400 as a result of our employees following the safety incentive programs, things they've done. They should be very proud of that. So we have an reimbursement on our insurance policy for the
Great.
action we did.
Great, thank you.
So discussed.
Okay. So, now we're done.
Just go right into the regular meeting.
We don't have to close the workshop portion. Do I have a motion to close the workshop?
Motion to close workshop.
Do I, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We now will go into our regular meeting. Our first is, we have no minutes. Why do we have no minutes? Next month, right, because we changed our schedule. Okay. So our next item is a presentation from our auditor, Leonardo Costella. He's
Who's that?
Leonardo Pablo Castoli. Yes, that is his real name. Yes, Leon. Italian. So Leon is going to do a presentation. This is actually like is a repeat from the one we had in October, which
Yeah,
was
and-
a public meeting.
Yeah, we had a public meeting on your capital plan, and what you have in front of you and what's on the screen, which nobody's going to see, is the same thing that we did back in October, I guess. So as not to waste a lot of time and go through all the mechanics that we did before, the projects that you're doing, the $21 million worth of bond ordinances that you've done, with grant funding, NJEIT funding split between the current fund and the water and sewer fund, are not going to raise your taxes. We said that back in October. I repeated it again in November when we had the massive meeting that caused me to come back to do this, and nobody's here that wanted to see that. So, I think we're wasting our time, and it's been a long night already. You already know this. You've seen it before.
Yes.
So we're back to the same place we were before.
Let's see it again.
Yeah, we're the ones that want to see this aren't here. So we're at the same spot. We promised there wouldn't be a tax increase. There was not, as you'll see in a couple minutes when we do the budget part of it. And the capital plan is in place. It hasn't changed. The only thing I've added is the column that says estimated NJIT, and that's for the fishing pier, right? No, bulkheads, yeah. The fishing pier was the Green Acres.
Right.
This is for the bulkhead. So nothing's changed, we're still in good shape. You need to do these projects. I think one of your residents was commending you on getting stuff cleaned up, getting things moving, getting stuff done. I figured that. And, this is all taking that into account. You're undertaking a lot of work, and it fits into the program.
Great.
Okay?
Thanks, Leon.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next item is we will have a public hearing on the 2018 municipal budget. Do I have a motion to open to the public hearing?
Motion to open the public hearing on the 2018 municipal budget.
Do I have a second?
Second motion?
All in favor? Aye. Now open to the public. If you have any questions on the budget that was presented was it last month, February?
Yes.
Was it? No? Okay. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing on the 2018 municipal budget.
Do I have a second?
Second motion?
All in favor? Aye.
Now, a few things, let's take care of some housekeeping on the budget. The Board of School estimates, since you're a type 1 school, will be meeting the end of March. At that point in time, we have to insert their number on the revenue side and expense side. It has nothing to do with your budget, but it has to be included because you're a type 1. And then we can adopt your budget, which would probably be the April 12th, maybe? What would be? Yeah, April 12th, that meeting. And for that meeting, you'll have a document in front of you that will say budget adoption, because right now it says introduction at the bottom of it. Is all is required is a vote, nothing else that night. Yeah, just a simple vote to adopt it, and you'll be done with your budget process. One other possibility is that the governor speaks next Tuesday, and he may change state aid one way or another. If he does, we make the amendment on the 12th and fix that.
Okay.
But other than that, we're good to go.
Great.
And this budget is a
1.3 cent tax
decrease.
decrease. Yes.
Deduction, decrease.
Decrease. Yep.
Sorry, the only other thing we have to add, possibly add to the budget before we adopt it, or we receive some grants that we
Right,
didn't
right.
have when we introduced, we might just have to.
Great.
but that
And their
goes
budget
in and out.
calls.
Right,
I
exactly.
seem to recall us doing that last year as well.
Right. It was actually later last year, I think.
So this is just a cover sheet.
Thank you.
Gives you all the details, it's the same as it was before.
Thank you very much. Yes. It feels good to introduce and hopefully adopt this budget this year with the tax decrease.
It does.
And our assessed properties are up for the first time in 12 years, which is great.
And you heard your assessor say it has minimum appeals
Yes.
for the year
Yes.
2018.
So all's good.
All's good. Thank you, Leon. Thank you for spending the night with us.
No problem.
Our next item is an ordinance introduction, 2018-007, an ordinance amending Article 10, Residential 7 District, Chapter 102-60, Developmental Regulations of the Code of the City of Ventnor. Do I have a motion to introduce this ordinance?
Motion to introduce ordinance 2018-007.
Do I have a second?
Second motion.
Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langria?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes.
Waited all night to say that.
Are you happy now? Very good. Our next item is an introduction of ordinance 2018-008, an ordinance amending Chapter 126 of the Code of the City of Ventnor, flood hazard areas. Do I have a motion?
Motion to introduce ordinance 2018-008.
Do I have a second?
Second motion.
Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langria?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. Next item is a public hearing on ordinance 2018-005, an ordinance of the City of Ventnor authorizing a private property sale of a certain non-buildable property to a
Contiguous.
contiguous owner pursuant to NJSA 40A:12-13B5. Do I have a motion to open this to the public?
Motion to open public hearing on ordinance 2018-005.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. This is the public hearing on this item only, if anyone would like to speak on this item. Okay.
Tim, I saw Mr. DeLuca here
Yes.
earlier. He was just seeing where it was on the agenda and saw it was here, and he was okay.
He was here on this, right?
Yeah, he represents the buyer.
I don't see anyone that wants to speak, so do I have a motion to close the public portion?
Motion.
I mean, the public hearing, I'm sorry. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Yes.
Thank you.
Second.
Lisa, roll call?
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langria?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. Our next item is an ordinance adoption, where am I here? No, a public hearing. Oh, no,
No,
I'm right there,
adoption.
I'm sorry. Next is an adoption ordinance 2018-005 on the ordinance of the City of Ventnor authorizing the private property, what I just stated. Do I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Motion to adopt ordinance 2018-005.
Do I have a second?
Second motion.
Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langria?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. Next item is our public hearing, ordinance 2018-006, amending ordinance 2017-24, establishing 2017 salaries, compensation, and salary range of officers and employees. This is specific, as I said earlier, to our new superintendent of public works. So do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion to open public hearing on ordinance 2018-006.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We now have the public hearing on this item only, if anyone would like to speak. I see no one wants to speak. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item is the adoption of the ordinance 2018-006, amending the ordinance 2017-24, establishing 2017 salaries, compensation, and salary ranges. Do I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Motion to adopt ordinance 2018-006.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langria?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. Next on the agenda is public comment on any of the resolutions we are about to vote on.
And make note that we're taking out.
Yeah, I have, I wrote it down. I got it. Okay.
Motion to open public comment on resolutions.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor? Anyone from the public like to speak? Do
Motion
I
to close.
have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next is a motion to adopt resolution 2018-086 to 087 through 2018-090 to 110. Do I have a motion to adopt these resolutions by consent?
Motion to adopt those resolutions by consent.
Do I have,
Second the motion?
Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langria?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. I have approval of the bills and payrolls. Lisa, do you have those figures?
I do.
Can you please?
Payroll from 22518 through 31018 in the amount of $486,380.47. And I have bills in the amount of $200,460.46.
Motion to approve bills and payroll.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
Lisa, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kriebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Langria?
Yes.
Mayor Holtzman?
Yes. Our next item is announcements and our safety report. I think we covered everything earlier. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we will move on. Commissioner comments and reports. I think we handled that already this evening.
One real brief one, just to talk about the storm damage at all, the storms that came through.
Okay, go ahead.
Very minimal beach erosion, as I already talked a little bit about, Public Works was fine, we're good and all that. So just wanted to get it on the record that very minimal beach erosion, dunes were fine. A little bit of escarpment, a little bit, now from the waves.
The leaves, okay.
But other than that,
We're good.
Pretty good, yeah.
Great. That's good news.
It is.
Okay, now we will have our last public portion. If anyone would like to bring up anything, do I have a motion to open to the public?
Motion to open public comment.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone like to speak?
Motion to close.
Christian, you're funny. Do I have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
We do not have an executive session this evening, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion?
All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.